Welcome to the Flavored Tea Podcast. On today's episode, we'll update you on how the challenge went last week. We'll also be talking about our culture and traditions growing up and stereotypes. Take a seat, grab your favorite beverage because it's about to get flavored. Welcome to the Flavor Tea Podcast. Hoy vamos a...
I was like, I wasn't prepared. What the heck?
My name is Elizabeth Aquino, and here with my co-host, Austin Hernandez.
What's going on, everybody?
Thank you guys for joining us today. Austin, just right off the back, I want to hear some good stuff. So tell me something good.
Okay.
What happened this week that was just good, whether it's in your life or just that you read?
Okay, I got you. So, first thing that comes to mind already, when I go to the gym, I feel like I'm always talking about the gym. I'm always talking about going to the gym.
Do you spend time at the gym?
I live there, apparently. So, I was at the gym the other day, and when I go work out, I like to just kind of stay to myself. And there's this, I'd say he's probably like in his, he's young, probably 17, 18. He's a young kid, and I was working out triceps, and I noticed, like, you know, you can just feel when someone's staring at you. Mm-hmm. I felt that, and so I look over, and he was like, "Hey, man, what are some tricep workouts I can do? I feel like I'm doing the same thing."
Yeah.
And you know me, I'm like, "Oh my god!" But I'm gonna help him. I was like, "Oh man, biggest thing is just stay consistent. You don't want to do too much. As long as you hit these three workouts, you'll be fine." And just kind of gave him a little bit of information. But that, at the end of it, made me feel pretty good. Yeah. I feel like I'm not the biggest person, but I feel like maybe he looked at me and was like, he's a pretty good size,
Yeah,
And
I want to get decent.
Yeah, I want to get decent like that guy, but I kind of helped him out a bit. And this isn't the first time. He always asked me to spot him.
So you guys are friends now?
Not really.
What's his name?
I have no idea. But the other day, too, I was working out chest, and, when a guy's looking for a spot in the gym, for someone to spot him in the gym, they don't ask, they ask with their eyes. They'll look around, and they'll wait to make eye contact with somebody.
Do you guys ask with your eyes? I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, so they'll look around, and then if they make eye contact, they'll be like, they'll give you like the little head nod, okay. And it's just like the universal signal, like, oh, they need a spot. And so that's what he did the other day too. He was just like, and I was like, I got him.
I don't think girls do that.
No,
I don't
think so. No,
I don't think girls do
probably
that.
not. But it's. I feel like for men, that's what they do.
That's kind of the thing.
Yeah, but that made me feel pretty good. Like I said, I'm not the biggest person, but if someone asks me for advice, it kind of makes me feel like I'm doing something right.
Yeah.
So that made me feel pretty good. I know you have some good news. You've had a pretty good week, didn't you?
I've had a good week so far. But I was doing some reading, and yes, a lot of good things happen every single day, but I was doing some reading, and there was a story about a cancer survivor. She's a Girl Scout, and she broke the record selling 32,000 boxes of cookies. Isn't that crazy?
32,000
That's a lot of dough. That is a lot of dough. But anyway, all her proceeds are going to sick children. So I thought that was a really pretty neat story.
That's awesome, yeah.
Yeah, I was
way to get your day going. Did you read that in the morning to where you were like positive for the rest of the day?
I listen to podcasts in the mornings just to kind of get my mood going, and they really help. And sometimes I'll do a little reading. But I read that and I was like, oh,
that's good.
People are so kind.
Yeah,
so kind. But anyways, I want to hear about your challenge last week. Tell me how that went.
The challenge was, for those of you who don't know, to do something that made you feel not necessarily uncomfortable, but just something that you don't usually do that could help you better yourself. Growing up, my dad, he really didn't have time to teach us to speak Spanish. She was always working.
Yeah.
And so I took Spanish in college, and it didn't help at all. So this week I was like, you know what? I'm going to go to a Mexican restaurant, and I'm going to do my best to just try to order everything in Spanish. So I went to Bianca's. For those of you who've ever been to Bianca's, it's a great place, great food, great drinks. So I went there with my dad.
Where's it at?
It's off of, you've never been to Bianca's? Really?
No, I've heard people talk about it, but...
What? Oh my God.
Where's it at?
You have to go, it's off of like 42nd and MacArthur.
Okay, so it's in Oklahoma City.
It's like, it's in Oklahoma City. It's right before you hit 50th and MacArthur. You have to go. So I went with my dad, and it was good. My dad kind of helped me, like, coached me up. Like, before I said something, I'd be like, "Hey, is this gonna come out right?" He'd
Did
be
you
like,
give him the eye look?
"Huh?"
The
No.
little...
So she came. She called us muchachos when she came up, but like my dad, like, it's kind of old. But yeah, it went good. It wasn't too hard, just because she really didn't talk to us much. It was just more of just like, ¿qué quieres tomar? And, what do you want to eat? And
So was it successful?
yeah, I mean, like I said, it's one of those things where I'm going to have to get,
Better?
Yeah, it's just, I'm just going to learn as I go.
Yeah.
And it's not going to stop there. I definitely want to make it one of those things where it's like anytime I go to a Mexican restaurant, I'm talking in Spanish or trying to, improve on that.
Going.
Exactly. So I felt good. My dad said I did pretty good. He said the biggest thing too was just to sound comfortable.
Confident? Oh.
Confident too, yeah. Because he said
Kinda fake it till you make it?
He said if you sound shy, they're going to be able to tell.
Yeah.
But he said I did pretty good.
Oh,
so
way to go, Austin.
it was good, yeah. Like I said, I want to keep it going.
Yes, keep it going.
Yeah.
Keep us updated.
What about your challenge? I know you were saying that you actually booked something, but I'll let you tell it.
I did. And I don't know, now that I think about it, I don't know if it was really, I mean, I guess you can say it did help me grow, but it's on my bucket list. And I've always wanted to do this. And I was like, you know what? This is uncomfortable. I know I'm scared of heights, but I'm not to the point where I'm going to die if I'm like up somewhere really high.
Yeah.
And so I booked a skydiving.
Oh.
Yeah, I booked a skydiving little challenge.
Wow.
This week. So unfortunately, it didn't happen throughout the week.
Yeah.
But it's in the books, and we'll see how that goes. I'll update you guys.
They're going to be definitely looking forward to that.
I'm interested to see how
Are
it's
you
going to go.
nervous?
But no, not right now. I think right now I'm just kind of like, yeah, let's do it. But I know whenever I am up on that plane, I am probably going to be like,
the door
you know what?
opens.
I forget this. Now
You'll be fine.
We'll be fine. Yeah.
That's good.
You know,
That's awesome.
I would rather go skydiving than bungee jumping because I feel like with bungee jumping, I don't know. What if the string like popped? I don't know. For those of you who have gone
that's
bungee
true.
jumping, tell me about your experience. Reach out to me and tell me because it's something I'm afraid to do.
Yeah.
But I feel like once
Man,
you're
I don't
in-
know. They're both pretty hard.
Yeah.
I guess.
I don't know. We'll see. I'll update you guys.
Yeah,
We'll
I'm
see how
looking
that
forward
goes.
to it.
Hey, I want to play a little game because today's episode we discuss culture, traditions, stereotypes, and I want to start off with a little game that I thought of. We'll name it. You said a different name earlier, but
Oh, yeah, when I was reading it.
we'll censor it and we'll say I grew up on this and that.
Okay.
I'm sure we could probably come up with a better name.
Very
But
simple,
that's
very
the name
plain.
right now.
Yeah.
So I'll say something, and then you can say you grew up on that, or
Okay.
you can say I didn't grow up on that, and I'll
Okay.
tell you that too.
Okay,
And then
I
you
got you.
guys can maybe think of this and be like, hey, I grew up on this too.
Yeah.
So tell us your feedback.
Okay.
But the first one, eating tamales / pozole on the holidays. So I know
okay.
you have a little bit of Mexican in you. And in the Mexican culture, Hispanic culture too, it's very common for holidays to eat tamales. Did you guys do that?
See, so growing up, we grew up more doing more traditional things, more on my mom's side, because the majority of them lived here versus my dad's side. There's some lived in Houston, the majority of them are still back in Mexico. So growing up, we did more Asian traditions than we
Okay.
did Mexican.
Yeah.
But every now and then, when I was younger, my dad's mom did come and stay with us, and she did cook and she did make tamales, and it was great.
I bet you those are delicious.
But more around the holidays, we ate things like, my mom would make pho, she would make papaya salad, she would make fried pork, just all these Asian and, dishes. So I would say it was just the complete opposite. We just did more Asian traditions, and that's just how it was.
Yeah.
But it was good, though. I know as I've gotten older, my dad has definitely tried to start cooking a lot more.
He's like,
just 'cause-
Nicole, let me show you a little bit about this.
Yeah, just because, and we always make fun of him. We're like, you've never cooked a day in your life, and he's always like, oh, one day I'm going to show you, and he has recently. He's
That's
been
awesome.
cooking, and
Good for him.
he's been doing good. So
See,
yeah.
we grew up, in my family, we grew up eating pozole a lot, and I love pozole. And for those of you who don't know what pozole is, it's basically like, it's hominy, but it's kind of in a soup format. So it's so
put like onion,
Delicious.
cilantro, lime.
Yes, lime.
It's good,
a little
yeah.
bit of
My mom-
oregano.
And
It's
that's the
bomb.
thing. This is what's crazy is, my mom, she grew up, in Cambodia,
Yeah.
and, but she can throw down when it comes to some
Cooking
Mexican dishes.
Ooh.
It's crazy.
Okay,
And
Mama Hernandez.
she grew up working in a restaurant, and
Yeah.
the majority of the people that worked back in the kitchen with her were Mexican. And so she told us that she likes to talk and she just likes to ask questions. And so she said she learned how to cook Mexican food by just talking to her friends, getting the recipe, and just practicing. And I mean, I trust my dad's, instinct. He knows good Mexican foods,
Yeah.
and he says she does a fantastic job. So
Phenomenal.
props to her.
Way to go, Mama.
Yeah, she doesn't do it all the time, but every now and then she does, and when she does, it's always good.
Yeah, that's awesome.
What about this one?
Yeah.
This is kind of a little different. I grew up not being able to lay in bed without showering.
Okay.
Did your
well,
parents get mad at you if you didn't?
No,
if like you went
but-
out and then came back home and laid in your bed without showering?
Now that I think about it, I mean, I was so used to showering at night. Like that was just
That's
always
true,
a
yeah.
thing. But I don't know if it was necessarily because, I mean, maybe my mom thought of it like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But now I can't go to sleep without showering.
Really?
Like even after a night out.
Really?
I'm like
You still
out
come home and shower?
I still have to come home and shower. Even if I'm like really drunk,
Yeah.
I have to come home,
Oh, wow,
shower,
props to you.
and then jump into bed. Yeah.
That's
it's
crazy.
Just, and then you wake up in the morning,
You feel better.
clean,
No,
you
don't
feel
get me wrong, you do.
refreshed.
That
I'm
was
not gonna lie, I don't always do it because whenever I go
Cap.
out. But for the most part, I feel like it's pretty common.
Yeah, that was one thing was like, so we would wait, even if you went outside to go throw out the trash and you would try to go back in your room and lay down, she saw you, she would call you out on it. She'd be like, no, you better jump in the shower and
That
rinse
is so funny.
My
I
mom's
do
real
that.
clean. That's what she always did.
Yeah, hey, my
And
mom's
so-
clean too. What about cleaning Saturday mornings and then jamming out to music? I feel like it's pretty common in the Hispanic culture.
Yeah.
Like you're sleeping in, and then your mom is like playing really
They
loud
come in,
music,
yeah.
and she's like, "Ellie, this is my mom. Mom, I love you." She's like,
She's gonna
"Ellie,
listen to
ya
this.
levántate. It's late. You need to get up and do this and do that."
Yeah.
And the music's playing, and now I do it. You came over the other day to pick something up Saturday morning, and I was jamming out and
You were.
cleaning.
I walked in and I was like, oh man, does she do this every weekend? You start
I
coming
do
here.
that all the time.
Yeah.
What about you?
My parents they never cleaned on, it was always throughout the week.
Yeah.
My dad always taught us to pick up as we go. That's
for
one of
sure.
his phrases. He's always like, pick up as you go, pick up as you go, so we don't have to clean,
Smart man.
Yeah, exactly. But every now and then, on the weekends, if the house was, kind of dirty,
Yeah.
he would make us do it. One thing, though, that comes to mind is, so I grew up, I'm the youngest of 5, and at one point we all lived, in the same house. And so as we were growing up, we would always, my sister, she would always like divide the duties among, like, she would split it
Yeah.
among us. And so she'd be like, all right, you get shoes. We used to have a bookshelf, and she'd be like, all right, you go straighten out the bookshelf. I'll clean the restroom. That's
She was like, I'm gonna give you guys the crappy jobs,
Yeah.
and I'll stick to the ones that
And
I
so,
want.
like I said, my parents, they worked a lot growing up. And so for the majority of the time, we were always the ones that had to clean the house. And so
Yeah.
that's kind of how we would do it. We would just break it.
Divide and conquer.
Exactly, yeah.
Divide and conquer, baby.
We were like, Team
Divide and
Hernandez on 3. 1, 2, 3, Team
conquer.
Hernandez.
Stop. Did you guys really do that?
I think we did it a couple of times. And here I am, like 4 feet tall,
Yeah.
like trying to vacuum with the vacuum that's
Oh my
taller than
God.
me.
I
And-
love vacuuming.
All right, what about this? Were you allowed to wear shoes in the house?
No,
Really?
that is a negative.
Exactly.
That is like
Same.
a 0, no tolerance.
Same. My
no
mom would
shoes in
get
the house.
so mad.
Yep.
Even if you like left something
Yep.
and say you had to go to the kitchen and you tried to like tippy toe, if she saw you, she would get
me too.
so
The tippy toe.
mad.
I tried, and she was like, "Ellie, take your shoes off."
Yeah.
And I'm making it sound like my mom yells. She doesn't yell, but she would freak out about the
Oh my
shoes.
God.
Which every single day, I swear, I'll do something, and I'm like, I'm turning into my mother,
Mm-hmm.
my sweet, sweet mother. I don't like it when, I mean, people will come into my house with shoes, but at the beginning, I would be like, "Hey, do you mind taking your shoes off?" And then I was like, okay, not everyone grew up like this, and I get it,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
it's my home.
It's- yeah.
But now, I can't stand when, I mean, if the floors are not clean, like
Mm-hmm.
if people have walked in with shoes, I have to clean it like after they leave. And that's exactly what my mom does.
That's
And
fine.
And it's not bad. Like, I'm not saying you can't come into my house with shoes, but now it's just something I'm used to, and I have to wear slippers. Like, I can't stand feeling things on my feet. Like, it just bothers me. I don't know.
True.
It's weird.
Yeah.
Did you do that too? You said you did, huh?
So my mom, she never let us wear shoes in the house.
Yeah.
Like, she would get so mad if she caught someone wearing shoes, like walking to the kitchen. And it happened a couple of times. You know, you walk out of the house and you forget something. You don't have to, especially if you tie your shoes, you don't have to untie them and go. So you would try to like
that was my
sneak
argument.
it. But she would, that was a big no. She couldn't wear shoes in the house.
That's
What's
funny.
another one?
What's another like tradition?
Yeah.
Well,
that you can think
I
of.
wanted to ask you this.
What?
Have you celebrated anything that is pretty common in America? Like things that, I mean, I know that we both come from different backgrounds, but what is something that you've celebrated that, everyone here celebrates?
Definitely Thanksgiving and Christmas was always the main holidays that we always did. 4th of July was something that we didn't start to really do cookouts and celebrate till, my siblings and I got a little bit older.
Yeah.
I think that was pretty much in birthdays. We always celebrated birthdays. Any other day, like St. Patrick's Day, or like we always did Easter Sunday. We always went to church, and that was something we always did. New Year's, we really didn't. I mean, we watched the ball drop on TV, but that was pretty much it. We never really went out and watched fireworks as a family. But the main things that we always did was really just Thanksgiving and Christmas was definitely something that, I think everybody celebrated. So, we really, and it was one of those things too, where we, growing up, like I said, we weren't as fortunate as we are now. So we really didn't do gifts for Christmas. It was always just my mom usually just cooked. And then as we got older, we definitely started to, everyone started getting a job. Everyone started, we started getting a little bit better. And that's when we just started incorporating gifts.
It's funny you say that because in my family, I mean, my aunts and uncles would do this, but in my family, we didn't really grow up giving each other gifts for Christmas.
Yeah.
We did a lot of posadas, which again is more of like a Hispanic tradition, I guess you could say. But it wasn't there weren't a lot of gifts growing up. And now it's kind of, we'll get each other gifts for Christmas every now and then, but it's not something that, I need to go Christmas shopping to get this and this, Our family, like my immediate family, is just not really used to that.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where it's like, for example, this past year with COVID, with everything going on, we didn't do gifts. We all just kind of ate.
Yeah.
So, like my brother, he kind of bought, not everyone bought gifts this year.
Yeah.
But I mean, like I said, it was one of those things where we grew up the majority of our lives not doing gifts. So it just, it's like, all right, as long as we're all here, we got each other. That was the main thing, yeah.
That's neat that there are so many traditions and things that we do that we can relate to, and yet we're still very different, Yeah,
that's true.
But anyway, what about stereotypes? What are some stereotypes that you've experienced being from a different culture, having a different culture in you as well?
One thing my mom always taught us, so we used to go to, we still do every now and then, but it's been a while since any of us have been sick. But his name was Dr. Wen, and so all his children, they all went to school and they all became doctors. And I think that's one thing in, Asian culture is like becoming a doctor and going into the medical field like that. One of the things, I think the camera stopped recording, but that's okay. Hold on, we're going to try to fix it real quick. Anyway, we'll just keep going. One of the things that really just, my mom kind of just, it wasn't more of just my mom that really kind of made us do certain things. I think it's just the whole, like you said, stereotypical thing of like, for me, I'm Asian and I'm Mexican, and so on the Asian side, it's just more of just like, he's going to go to school, he's going to become a doctor, he's going to go into some sort of like, like medical field. But no, I don't think anyone really verbally came up to me and stereotyped me. It was like, do you do this? Or, are you going to do this? Or, anything like that.
I got a lot of that
really?
growing up. Yeah. I mean, I was asked, hey, how do you say this in Spanish? Hey, why does it sound like this? Or hey, why do you do this? Or
Yeah.
I don't know. I stood out. I mean, I went to primarily all white school.
Uh-huh.
So I was like one of the few Hispanics or Mexicans that, you know, that look different. And
Yeah.
I get it. Like, people are curious, and you're not really used to that, used to seeing that. Especially because I moved from Los Angeles to California. I'm
Yeah.
originally from LA. And, I mean, it was a culture shock for me, but I didn't really think much of it. I mean, I would speak Spanish whenever they were like, hey, how do you do this? I thought it was really cool. And then it's not until I got older that I was like, wait, you know, it's not common for people to do this.
Yeah. You know what? You know, one thing I noticed was, so I went to a very diverse school, all elementary, middle school, high school. One thing I noticed was my Mexican friends viewed me more as Asian.
Yeah.
And when it came to very little Asian friends in school, there wasn't many of them, but just outside of school too, I was viewed more of as Mexican. It was never like just I'm half and half.
Yeah.
You know, it was always one or the other. And then I think when I got to OU, I wasn't really viewed as Asian. I was viewed more as just Mexican. It's just weird. That's something that, and no one really, you know, gave me a hard time about it. It was just one thing that I noticed, especially as I got older. I was like, man, I wonder why that is.
I noticed that too. I've always been, and there's this famous Selena quote, the Selena, the singer. In her movie, she says, "You're too Mexican for American people and too American for Mexican people." And I feel like that's so true.
Yeah.
I mean, I've definitely experienced that. Like, whenever I'm, you know, with my friends, my white friends, I feel like I'm very Mexican sometimes, and I feel like the opposite whenever I'm with my Mexican friends.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I've gotten used to it.
It's weird
though.
how that
I
works,
like it.
though.
It's like you bring a different spice.
That's true. Yeah, no, that's true. It's true.
And a little
there's-
flavor
like
into the
like I said, there's not a problem with it. It was just something
for sure,
that I don't know. I noticed. I was like, I took a step back. I'm like, what? You know?
Yeah, but at the same time, you feel normal too. At least
you
I
do.
have, just because I've grown up like with these type of people, you know.
Yeah.
But what are some tips that you would give people if they're being stereotyped or labeled and it's uncomfortable? And
I would say embrace it.
that is a little harder than what
for
said,
some
though,
for some
right?
people. Yeah, for some people, I know. You know, especially growing up, you want to kind of fit in
Yeah.
and kind of just seem like you're like everybody else. You don't want to stand out too much. I would recommend doing the complete opposite, especially early on, because if you do it early, you'll be comfortable with it by the time you hit, you know, your teen
You're
year,
older.
or whatever it is. Just embrace it. Be proud of your background and you know where you come from, and you know it's definitely as I've gotten older, I've noticed and I've you know learned to embrace it a lot more. It's great to be different. It's great to just bring something different to the table.
Yeah. And you might look a certain way.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
But that's not all that you are. I
No.
mean, you also have a heart, you have a mind, you have your values. Like, there's much more than what you look like, you know? And I feel like a lot of the times, even people who don't speak Spanish and they look Hispanic, people will be like, "Oh, you don't speak Spanish?" Like,
Yeah,
what? And you're like, I mean, I just didn't grow up like that. That's not how my family grew up.
Exactly. And like I was saying earlier, that's one of the things that, not more of on my mom's side, no one really, you know, kind of bashed me for not speaking Thai or Chinese or, you know, Cambodian. It's more of not speaking Spanish. But like I said, growing up, my parents, you know, my dad worked 3 jobs at one point, and, you know, he kind of went down to 2, but he was always working. My mom was always working. And so the common language was English. And so he didn't really have time to teach us to speak Spanish.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I try to explain to people. And usually when I explain that, it makes sense. They're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. But it's funny, the other day I was at work, and I work with this Filipino woman, and she kept, she's a, what's it called? She's a floater. So she comes and she works at different locations, and she was helping us out one week.
Okay.
And so she goes, "Austin, what are you?" And I was like,
I've gotten that too.
take a guess. And she's like, "Honestly, I don't know." She's like, you look Asian, but then you don't, but like your voice, you don't sound like, I can't tell by your voice or the way you talk. And I was just like explaining to her, I was like, oh, my dad's Mexican and my mom is Chinese and Thai. She's from Cambodia. And just kind of gave her the
You
whole...
went into details.
Yeah, and once
But you didn't take offense to that, did you?
No, not at
Because
all.
you knew
Not
her?
at all. Because it happens. It's happened to me so many times. Like I said, the majority of the people think I'm Asian, but, you know, also I've been asked so many times, like, what are you?
I've been asked that too, and it hasn't always been the greatest feeling, I'm not going to lie.
Really?
Like, one time, it was like random guy. Like, the first question that he asked, he was like, what are you?
Yeah.
But I think it was the tone that I was just kind of like, I mean, I'm a human and I'm a woman. What are you?
Like, what do you mean?
I didn't respond like that, but my instinct was like, I'm about to get a little sassy.
Yeah.
But no, I responded. And I think it also kind of has to do with your perspective too. Like, you can take it the wrong way or you can take it in, you know, what am I am Mexican. My parents are Mexican and I was born in Los Angeles. So I'm Mexican-American, Hispanic.
Yeah.
Let's go.
And I also think it depends how they ask.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And the tone of their voice. If they're like, what are you? You're just like, okay. But if they're like, hey, do you mind with your, what's your ethnicity? Or, hey, where do you come from? Where are your parents from?
Yeah. There's a lot of...
Just be careful how you ask it.
Yeah.
And
like
the way
tone.
you phrase it. You can say, I think what are you is kind of...
Just say what's your ethnicity.
If you say, just say what's your ethnicity. Where are you from? That's all you have to say.
Yeah.
But no, I never really took it offensive.
Good.
I don't think anyone's ever asked me in a very, like, just, like I said, kind of funky way. They've always just been like...
You're unique.
Yeah. So
We're all unique.
Definitely learned to embrace it.
Work that culture. Whether you're from here, from a different country, you got to work it.
Embrace it. Embrace all of it.
Be confident in those roots, baby girl. Just kidding. Hey, let's do it. Were you going to add something?
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, let's do a challenge this week. Let's keep these challenges going. I like them. So I want to challenge you, because we were talking about food earlier. In my dad's culture, so my dad's from Mexico, but so is my mom, but they're from two different areas. So my mom is from this place called Aguascalientes, and my dad's from this place called Oaxaca. And very different, like the people are very, very different. But in Oaxaca, there's a snack, I guess you can call it a snack. They're called...
I'm scared because you're like laughing.
They're basically fried grasshoppers. I know. It's kind of odd.
Are they huge?
No, they're small. They taste like lime. I've tried them. They're called chapulines.
Okay. You're gonna challenge me to what? Eat them?
I'm gonna challenge you to eat some.
Okay. You said they taste like lime?
Yeah, they're like roasted lime. And if you think about it, I mean, Austin, I'm pretty sure you eat random stuff that are kind of like, oh.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, I can do that.
Do it. I'll grab you some, we'll record, and we'll show it.
Okay, yeah, we'll do it live on the podcast. Yes. I like that. Okay.
What's your challenge?
Let's keep it on food. So I mentioned earlier that one thing we always ate around the holidays was papaya salad.
Oh, yeah. That actually sounds pretty good.
Yeah, and that's just like the American term that you can say. It's just papaya salad. And so we would always not necessarily judge someone, but in a way judge someone based on how they make papaya salad. And so like we would always go to someone's, whether it was like my aunt's house or whoever it was, we'd be like, who made the papaya salad? And it's like, oh, so and so made it. You're just like, oh, it's not gonna be spicy enough. Oh, it's not gonna have enough lime, or oh, it's gonna taste bland. And so like when we would say someone else new made the papaya salad, we'd look at each other and we'd be like we'd give each other like either like a head nod, like, oh, this is good.
Like judging it? Like,
yeah. And so, or like my mom would taste it and she'd look at us, and so my mom always does like this thing when she blinks, she'll be like, and that usually means like no. Like, don't do it or whatever it is. And so she would usually do that if it was nasty.
Yeah.
So I want to challenge you to do that. If you just Google...
Papayas. No.
You can just Google Laos papaya salad or Cambodian papaya salad.
Okay.
And you can get a pretty much recipe of what it consists of.
Yeah.
And feel free to tweak it your own way. I won't give you any hints of what it's supposed to taste like. Because I feel like if I do that, you'll probably get a good idea.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I just want to do it
I'll
right.
add my own little flavor
Exactly.
to it.
And I'll eat that live on the podcast too.
Oh gosh, no
And
pressure.
I'll rate you and
You guys, and we do record this on YouTube. So if you guys are listening to it on Apple Podcast or Spotify, check it out on YouTube. You can check out kind of how the little challenge goes. We'll still record it on the next one too.
Yeah.
And we'll go from there.
Yep.
And make
I
sure
like
you
it.
subscribe on YouTube.
Yeah. Ellie, go ahead and give them the layout of everything
subscribe
we're on.
on YouTube.
What else?
If you are an Apple listener, we are on Apple Podcasts.
What else?
And my most favorite, Spotify.
Spotify or Apple Music? We'll save that conversation for another day because I use Apple Music. Ellie uses Spotify. There's
Okay,
always
but the playlist though on Apple. Oh, I feel like
save that for later.
Let's do a little.
Apple Music or Spotify. Comment down in the
I know,
comment
right?
section on YouTube and tell us which ones you use.
Let's discuss. This is up for debate. Hey, we should do a debate. No, really though, you guys tell us what you guys want to hear.
Yeah.
We are interested. We want to share these topics with you, and hopefully you guys can relate to some.
Yeah.
Share them with your friends. But on that note, don't forget to follow us on the gram, Instagram.
What's our at? Say it. Pretty simple, but
At Flavor Tea Podcast.
Yep. Fair enough.
And with all of that being said, Ellie Bataquino here, signing off with.
I'm Austin Hernandez.
Until next time. Oh, before I forget, don't
What's that?
forget to make someone smile.
That is true. It'll make you feel better. Trust me.
Bye, guys.
See ya.